This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Always follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board here on the Friday before the big game. We're live in Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is your spot. Adam Chernoff on the program coming up in 30 minutes. Duff McKagan an hour from right now. He loves his Seahawks. He loves playing base. And he loves playing fantasy football. Ryan Kramer in studio coming up in 90 minutes. Thanks for watching YouTube TV, listening Sirius XM Channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or on any of our great affiliates across the country. It is also a busy night tonight in the association, Paulie. And I'll tell you, as I was looking at the card early this morning, I'm like, boy, this is a great spot, seemingly, to be on the Knicks. And they were a 1.5-point favorite. And I'm looking at the game, trying to handicap it. I'm like, I think I'm going to go bet that. As I'm doing that, I look and it pops up. Karl Anthony Towns has been downgraded to doubtful, which is still his current updated status. OG Anunoby was downgraded to questionable. Josh Hart upgraded to probable in the game, and it moved to 3. And then earlier, a little bit later than that, it got to 4 on the Pistons side. And the reason why I thought it was a great spot tonight for the Knicks is because, well, first of all, they're playing great basketball, 8-game winning streak. And in that stretch of time, number 1 offensive rating in the NBA, number 1 defensive rating in the NBA. And their numbers in that stretch would be the best marks in the entire league for the full season. Pistons on a back-to-back, 3rd game in 4 nights.
Yep.
Duren had to leave the game last night with right soreness.
Embarrassing performance.
Yeah, and this was revenge because they played on January 5th. The Pistons beat them by 31 in that game.
Yeah. So during this 8-game winning streak, the Knicks have the number 1 defense in the league. So great job with that players-only meeting, and it worked out. I wouldn't cause for concern, sound the alarms. Oh, my God, no cat, possibly, so we're up against it. But Detroit's been in first place in the East since November 7th. The Knicks are red hot. Good bounce back here for Detroit after they embarrassed themselves last night in a hell of a game. But I still continue. I love the guy. I can't believe how good Brunson is. And to think of his time and what Dallas did by letting him go and getting nothing, and the type of player that he's turned into. But, I was a little concerned with how they played, even though they won against Denver, considering the spot. Denver on a back-to-back double overtime, 2 starters out. But you just see it, how so many guys can score on this team and how Brunson can set them up as well. So I'm not going to panic for now. If Cat's out, he does not play.
Was he? You know what? That just happened. So I'm clicking on the NBA injury report, and it's not upgraded. I'll try to go to X. I'm guessing was Anunoby downgraded? Was that because it just literally moved from 3.5 to 4, and they're supposed to update the injury report every 15 minutes now.
Okay.
But if I was going to actually just say that if OG plays in the game, I want the 3.5 points. Cade was awesome when they played a month ago. He had 29 and 13, 11 of 17 from the floor. The Pistons also shot 16 of 31 from deep. That probably won't happen again tonight. But nope, no update on Anunoby the way it looks. I'm guessing that people are assuming that he's not going to play. Because I'll tell you that if somehow that it goes the other way and he plays in the game, I am betting the Knicks in this spot. Plus the 4.
Uh-huh.
I just unbelievable turnaround here after that skid that they were in.
Yeah, no doubt. Full marks. How about the T-Wolves? How about this story? They trade Mike Conley, who is then traded to Charlotte, and now he's going to wind up back with Minnesota days later.
It is my understanding that's what the team hoped to do.
And if you're traded twice in a week, this can happen.
That can happen. It's the only scenario
Charlotte
where it can happen.
bottom out or something. Yeah. So this is unbelievable. So they get the veteran leadership and presence in the locker room back as how this could happen. We're going to trade you. You're going to get traded again. You'll wind back. Okay.
Sure.
Great. That's how we planned it. Anyway, they're laying 8.5 against the Pelicans. And now we'll see if it's no more gloomy Gus and moping around after they couldn't get Giannis and they had a bad performance in some of their last games. But Pelicans couldn't get by a skeleton crew with the Bucks. So maybe Minnesota, now that the guys know they're staying put, come out here and they put it down and get a huge total of 236.5. They put it on them.
I'll give you the guys who have been hot here for the Wolves going back. First of all, Julius Randle is questionable. And on top of that, DiVincenzo and Naz Reid have been really hot from deep last 5 to 7 games. Dante 3+ made threes in 14 out of 16 games, over 2.5, juiced heavily tonight. Over 3.5 is plus money, like plus 130. Naz Reid has made 3+ in 7 out of 9 games, and over 2.5 tonight is minus 115. I think I'd like to bet on both those guys tonight, again, against this really bad Pelicans team and defense, if Randall is not going to play in this spot.
Why are the Clippers laying this? Let me read this to you. Ramona Shelburne, yesterday, talked to everyone involved after the deadline with the Clippers.
Okay.
They traded Harden and Zubac. He went up to Kawhi Leonard. What do you think now? And he had a line about you need a lot of luck and all that, but it's over. This season's over. Guys are gone.
That's what he said.
Yeah. The Harden trade was a mutual recognition as much as an admission that he had a better chance to win elsewhere. And a tumultuous era in L.A. was effectively over. And now what happens? They move on from Kawhi after the season. Who knows? But for the leader of the team to say it's over now, guys are gone. Paul George gone. James Harden gone. We were on a 17-4 run. Zubac gone.
Zubac gone
Harden
is massive, too.
Yeah, and Harden was averaging 26 and 8.
And
how bad were they in the last 2 games?
Oh.
Because again, the media didn't know. A couple people in the media, we didn't know. But the players knew what was going on.
True.
And they came out and got blasted in that game against Philly and no-showed the next game. So I would say Sacramento's definitely live here, catching 4.5 at home after, because he's telling the truth. I mean, the season's over, and best case scenario is because there's so many teams behind them tanking that they still wind up in the play-in, and then, that's it. They get the 10 seed.
Okay, so as I said yesterday with the Warriors, right? Somebody has to play, somebody has to score. I split those props. But I look at several of these other teams that are playing around the deadline, now post-deadline, and for the Clippers, well, somebody has to play, right? Garland's still out of this game. How about Jordan Miller props? He's not posted in many spots as we speak. He was completely unlisted all morning long. Now it's popping up around 12.5 points, double-digit scoring in 11 out of 14 games, 15+ in 6 of them, and 20+ in 3 games overall. So he can fill it up a little bit here. Kings are not a good basketball team at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Someone who I respect reached out to me today and said, I think the Clippers are going to kill him.
Really?
They're going to come out, just flip it, be completely pissed off, and the Kings are still really bad.
Okay. Also, don't forget, Dallas plays San Antonio tomorrow. We touched on this yesterday. You have to look at Cooper Flag props and what he's 32 points, 27 shots, 36 points, 24 shots, 34 points, 25 shots, 49 points, 29 shots. It's his team.
It is. Do what you want, Cooper.
He's going to take the shots are going to be there, and he was as low as 21.5 2 games ago for his points prop.
Yep. Go out there, have a lot of fun, and just, you know what? You got the green light the entire game. It's all you.
No doubt.
So the Pacers are playing at the Bucks tonight. I think this one also fits the bill. First of all, let me point this out. Ryan Rollins, last 5 games, almost 23 points per game, 6.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds, and 3.2 made threes. VSiN's very own Zach Cohen today. First of all, Hardwood Handicappers podcast does a great job on a daily basis. The write-ups at vsin.com are always there. He makes the case and said that he's going to keep betting Ryan Rollins over his points and assist prop, which is 25.5 tonight. So my example today would be Indiana. Who's playing? Who's scoring? Where are the points coming from in this game? Yeah. How about Johnny Furphy? 14 points in 29 minutes on Tuesday against Utah. His prop is 6.5 tonight. And I played Jarris Walker. 7 straight games in double digits. He had 24 against Utah. His prop is 11.5. I played 15+ at plus 190, taking a shot at him tonight. There's no Matherman. They just got rid of the guy. Yep. Zubac's not playing. They're a really bad team. Mm-hmm. Again, this is where, to me, it's you need to have one of the 4 best shots at getting top 4. Otherwise, it's unprotected. It's really weird. It's unprotected between picks 5 and 9. So they can't win too many more games. This is like, okay, let's see what we have with these young guys. Play them as many minutes as possible. Get them better for next year, because I think the Pacers are going to be, they're going to be maybe the most popular pick or one of the most popular picks to win the East next year.
How about the big one tonight? UConn and St. John's. UConn only 1.5 in the Garden. Brian Mahoney covers the NBA for the Associated Press. was looking at tickets and couldn't believe the get-in price. You get not like great seats, what the price is. This is a all-time hot ticket. And St. John's got off to a slow start, but now they've won 9 of 10. They have the first place on the line. UConn 22-1 though, only laying 1.5 in the Garden.
So I'm looking at 5 different sets of projections. Bart Torvik has UConn minus 1.3 points, total 143. It's right on the number. Ken Palm makes it UConn 145. Haslam, St. John's by 0.5. G Unit here at VSiN has St. John's by 1.5. I saw Kenny White has St. John's by 2.
Really?
Yep. And there is no game. I know you mentioned this, but after last night, Lindenwood covering again, our producer Luke's betting system is now 19-3 last 22 games. People have been reaching out since last night after they covered. Please tell us who it is tonight. It's a very small card in college basketball. There is not a game that fits the bill tonight. But there probably will be a handful of games that are on that tomorrow.
Well, here's my case against St. John's. Lost against Alabama. Lost a close one to Iowa State. Lost to Auburn.
Okay.
Not impressive against Ole Miss. And then lost to Kentucky and got beat by Providence. I just think UConn's the better team, and UConn's going to win the game. And I love Pitino, but I just think they're the better team, and they're going to find a way to win tonight.
Luke, do you tweet all those out? Do you put them on the picks page as well? Okay, so you can follow Luke on X at LukeDIV. At LukeDIV puts the tweets out there. And so he'll let you know which games are going to fit the bill. Up next, Super Bowl. The current 5-game winning streak in this game, longest in the history of the Super Bowl. Details on that coming up next.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Dogs have been cashing a lot of tickets going back in the Super Bowl. Overall, since 2004, 15-7 ATS. They've covered 5 straight. Outright wins in 3 straight and 4 out of 5. And by the way, the 5 straight covers, the longest in the history of the Super Bowl. The 3-game streak for Dogs winning outright, tied for the longest, second longest streak in history. We had a 4-game dog outright winning streak in the early 80s, 2012 through 2014, and also 69 through 1971. Dogs are 13-4 ATS since 2004 when the spread is 3 or more. And when you go back, Paulie, to Super Bowl 30, so the last 30 games, 16 Super Bowls closed 4.5 or more. Dogs are 12-2-2, covering 7 straight under that scenario. Hello, New England Patriots.
Heck. Yeah, I know there's a lot of trends on both sides here. Fantastic. Well, I'm glad we're on opposite sides here. You stepped out and took New England in our betting guide. I took Seattle 23-17. And I think a big key to this game is going to be limiting the turnovers and mistakes. What happens in the special teams, that's a big edge to Seattle. And a very popular prop, maybe too popular, is Drake May rushing yards over. And I like it as well. I think we see a lot of dump-offs to running backs, and I think May is running a lot. Here's Rick Neuheisel on May and what he's going to accomplish on Sunday.
All right, Coach, last one here. What is the key to the game? How does this thing shake out?
As is always the case, it's going to be about turnovers, and both these quarterbacks are doing a nice job. I think one of the keys to the game is Drake May's legs. If Mike McDonald and the defensive guys on Seattle take away his legs, I think they'll have their day. If they don't, it'll go down to the final play, which the last time these two teams played, it went down to the final play.
Seahawks fans remember it very well.
I agree with that. And like Sal Pal said, the last 3 have come down to the 1-yard line. So I know it's popular, but he was sitting there in the high 30s for his rushing yards. How do they take him away? Because to go back to the stats, though, if he's running for his life and he's so dangerous they can just rip off a 30-yard or 20-yard run, no problem, he can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it also goes back to how many times do they want him to run and make sure he's safe and gets out of bounds because of the shoulder injury. But as Bob talked about earlier, they are 5th best at pressure on a quarterback and the 6th lowest blitz rate. So it also, the Lawrence props going against Campbell, pressure rates in the playoffs allowed by Campbell, 17%, 12%, 15%. In the regular season, he allowed 11. They also are giving him a lot of help in the playoffs, and it still isn't working. Hello, big game from Lawrence. And why I like Stevenson props, do they trust, coaching staff, do they trust Henderson? You had a great tweet earlier in the week about he's not following his blockers and going to the right lanes. They have had issues with him all year in pass protection. He was on the field for 4 plays in the AFC title game.
That's exactly right. So, I mean, it's a massive gamble, in my opinion, on the Henderson props, but they're so low. To me, it was worth a stab on him being a small factor in the game anyway.
Plus 525 at one spot to have 20 yards receiving. Just I dump off, I can't get anything. Something, I mean, he's 2-1 to have 10 yards.
Yeah, I know.
And he's big prices rushing yards.
I ladder him up a little bit because it's so small. Again, this is when it was 1.5, and people on this network are making the case that he's going to go over that, and it came back down to a half a yard. Maybe he only plays 4 snaps again because it wasn't just...
Yeah, he's $1.60 to have a catch.
It wasn't only him not being able to read the blocks and the hole should be over here and I'm going the wrong way. It was the other key part that you pointed out. And this is recently. I think this was the Houston game. Oh, man, he was lost in pass pro.
But Stevenson has a history of fumbles.
True.
This is the risk. He puts
like,
it on the ground. Maybe he makes a mistake. He left the game with an injury a couple times. There was something with the eye. Fluke stuff and freaky stuff can happen.
I would say this, and this is going to be something easy to say about Stevenson. It could probably go for anybody else. Well, maybe not Kenneth Walker because he's like the main guy there at running back.
Yeah.
But if Stevenson were to have fumbleitis right away in this game, this is where, and you noticed right away, he's coming out of the game, and here comes Henderson. Mm-hmm. Live betting, you can get involved. Several books during the Super Bowl are going to have rushing attempts, rushing yards, anytime touchdown. They might even have, updated MVP numbers. But that could be a thing. Like if that comes back to rear its ugly head, Vrabel might be very impatient with that scenario. And so you got to get Henderson in.
He has 49.5 rushing yards. He's gone over that 6 of the last 7. And I know the carries should be there. And going back, 10 for 53, 16 for 70, 25 for 71, 130 yards in another game, 8 for 48. He had 75 yards rushing in the playoff game, led everyone to Charger game. 4 receptions, 3 receptions, 3 receptions, 3 receptions. I think you'll get a lot of dump-offs, and I also think at Caesars you can bet 5 yards rushing each quarter, and that is plus 190. It's another one where I think both coaches come out and pound the rock, and that these guys are going to get the majority of the carries too, and we know how many carries Walker's going to get. Walker's like $1.20 with the same bet. And I wouldn't mind 25 yards each half either with Stevenson for the rushing.
By the way,
go ahead.
You brought up the special teams DVOA, the Seahawks, they do have the edge. I will say one area where I don't think they have the edge would be in punt returns. DVOA has New England as the highest graded team in punt returns the entire year in the regular season. Seattle is right behind them. They're real close. But also, you can find longest punt return in the game. You can find the Patriots at plus money. Now, how many times are the Seahawks going to punt in the game?
Uh-huh.
I'm expecting a low-scoring game. I think it'll be several. And I could also see where they're okay kicking to Jones, and maybe this is just all speculation on my part. But if I'm the Patriots, I don't want to have Shaheed involved in this game at all. Like, I am not kicking to him to begin the game.
I agree.
And I don't want to kick off. I don't want to have punts going to him either.
Yeah.
I think Jones at plus money is worth a stab. They were elite this year at punt returns. That one might be a little bit mispriced.
I think Milton Williams could have a huge game as well. Bradford, for Seattle, allowed 15% pressure rate in the playoffs. And then pressure, sacks equals turnovers. And hello, Sam Darnold. Number 1 in the league in turnovers this year. Number 1 in turnover-worthy plays when pressured. And Williams has been a beast in the playoffs. If they can get pressure on Sam, too, does he take care of it? And I would maybe, I really think Kubiak shows off in this game, too. He's been so good. So, again, it's like, you know where the ball's going. But much like Kupp, when he was awesome in L.A., and Puka, you know where it's going, but you can't stop it. 119 for 1793. How do they slow him down with Gonzalez? And do you see some of those props, Cash, with the creativity? As Bob said, he threw out Akers, Holani.
Let me
it's going to be Walker, but I think over 7.5 looks better. The fact that our Seattle guest earlier referenced Akers.
Yeah, so that's going back now almost an hour. And if you missed it again, you can go back and listen to the Follow the Money podcast. But we brought on Bob Condotta, who has covered the Seahawks for many years, Seattle Times. He's in the Bay Area. And we're throwing out different players. We never even brought up the name Cam Akers. Unsolicited. He brought his name a couple times. I'm like, well, okay, so is he going to overtake Holani? And he clarified, I'm not saying that is what he responded with. But he's like, I think there's an angle here. They went out and got the guy for a reason. And I was looking live on the air. I'm like, okay, last touchdown, Cam Akers, first spot that I looked, 65-1. You can find 100-1 everywhere on Cam Akers, almost everywhere, to score the last touchdown of the game.
Yeah.
Under the scenario where the Seahawks, it's a blitzkrieg and they kill them. Again, that's a very common prediction here. And if people are accurate, then, okay, it's a 4-touchdown game. Let's get Akers in. He's been a journeyman. He's been hurt a lot. We picked him up for a reason. Let's have him pay this off and give him a really good feeling, to close out the game.
I think Matt Collins gets involved early. I think Booty can go over. Again, Booty has those incredible stats. Every catch has been a touchdown or a first down. He's low. Matt Collins is low. Stevenson's low. Diggs is 45.5. He's gone over that only 3 times in the last 10 games. Oh. And I know Charch and others made the case for Hunter Henry over. So who eats and goes off for New England here with receivers? I would say it's more Booty and Matt Collins. But by going off, I only need 30 yards.
Yeah, true.
So maybe he just spreads it around, too. And there are some places where you can bet all these guys to have like 20 yards and a couple catches. And that adds up. Biggest game of the year deserves more than a guess. Our Super Bowl betting guide out now. It's built to help you bet the big game smarter. In-depth breakdowns of both teams. Favorite prop bets, picks, and best bets from every host and guest. Get the guide right now, $19.99. Or become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get the betting guide included, along with best bets, the betting splits, AI-powered prop tools, 24/7 video on the Watch app, all the Mackin and numbers and trends, everything you want. NBA Daily with Cohen. One game, one edge. Finish the season strong. VSiN.com/guide. VSiN.com/guide.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Longtime friend of the show, Adam Chernoff, on the program coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the big game with analysis.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. We are live in Vegas. Big game comes up on Sunday. We're almost, 49 hours away from the opening kick. And we head out to the Progressive guest line. Longtime friend of the show, Adam Chernoff, joins the program. Parts unknown, as always. All right, you've had a good 10, 11 days to think about the game. The most common number out there is still Seattle, 4.5. The total moved down to about 45.5. Your thoughts overall on Super Bowl 60, Adam?
Well, if I was a little bit closer, the move is to drive to, where did you say it was the other day? Snoqualmie?
Snoqualmie, yeah. Yep, up in Washington.
They were dealing 6, is that right?
Yeah.
6 and 3-1 in the Patriots money line.
Yeah, boy, last year it would have been in great shape, just a couple hours away there, but a little bit further this year. So I would love to take that 3-1 on the Pats money line, but I will go with the Pats plus 190 as the play on the side of the total. And where do we even want to begin breaking this down before we get into some props? Where should we start?
Well, do you think it's going to be, okay, so if you like him to win outright, are you expecting a sloppy game from Sam Darnold?
I think I'm honestly expecting a sloppy game from both sides. My sort of general thought with the Super Bowl is I don't remember another Super Bowl necessarily where there's been such a lack of, first of all, skill position player talent on both sides. I mean, aside from Smith and Jigba, you guys were just talking last segment. You're like, where's the ball going to go for the Pats? So there's a big void there. Both of these offensive lines, relative to what is typically in a Super Bowl, are way behind what you're typically expecting. And then I think rightfully so for the last 10, 11 days now, there's been questions about what do we get from both of these quarterbacks. And so for teams that typically get to a Super Bowl, there's a severe lack of star power on both sides. And so I think that kind of shapes a lot about how I'm thinking about this game in particular on offense. And I look at this point spread at 4.5, some places slightly higher. It to me feels like a lot of disrespect pushed towards New England. And I read that as being the last couple weeks in the playoffs, which I don't necessarily think is fair because the Chargers game was quite misleading in how it played out. And then the last 2 weeks, I mean, New England has played in very difficult weather conditions, which is not going to be the case. And so to me here, as popular as Seattle is, I just, to me, look at plus 190 on the money line and think that the Pats are getting a lot of disrespect here for a team that I get the schedule. That's been talked about a ton. I agree with it. It's been as easy as it gets, but you can't control who you play. You can control how you play against them. And the Pats all season have been exceeding expectations in the betting market week after week by substantial margin. And so I could say a lot of the similar things about Seattle too. And I just look at where this number would have been, and we're all of a sudden pushing out just much too far, in my opinion. And so just on that rationale, for me, it's the Pats are on the money line plus 190.
Okay, very good. So your favorite prop is interceptions in the game over at plus 115.
Yeah, over 1.5 to be specific. So every year I kind of narrow down one prop that I like more than others. And this is the one for me this year. Last year went very well with the Barkley catch and hopefully pushing through this as well. So again, just mentioned, I look at lots of lack of star power, questions about the QBs. We're talking questions with the offensive line. I see this game playing out where both of these offenses find themselves in a lot of forced passing downs late, 3rd and long, 2nd and long after a first down run is negated. That's going to put them in knowing passing situations. And the one spot on both teams that there are very little concerns about is the defense, especially the secondaries for both teams. And so this Super Bowl, honestly, Darnold, does he deserve to be in a Super Bowl? That's a question. Does Drake May? I mean, it's a game that could very well be over the heads of not only both of these QBs, but these offensive lines, these coaching staffs. And I think that just shows itself in some high forced passing scenarios as both teams struggle to run the ball effectively. And we're going to see these forced passing situations against good defenses, I think, lead to a lot of opportunities where secondaries can make plays. And so 1.5 at plus money to me is priced very wrong. I think this is kind of relative to past years that we've seen in the Super Bowl. And again, I just look at the caliber of offenses we typically see in Super Bowl matchups on both sides, and I see this year being very, very differently. And so to have this in that typical range for over 1.5 interceptions for both teams combined, guys, I don't agree with it. I think this one goes over. Maybe you find alts out there for this one. I think we see both QBs throw a couple.
Okay, there's also another plus price available right now involving turnovers, and you want to bet on Seattle here?
Yeah, so Seattle, most turnovers in the game is plus 120. And I look at New England, what they've been doing in the playoffs. It's been a lot more blitzing. Milton Williams has been back on the defensive line. That's improved the defense quite a bit. Everyone's healthy. We know that Vrabel, I think how he's approached the lead up to this game, he certainly seemed like the looser of both coaches. He's been here. He's done it. I think he's going to really push his linebackers to blitz, bring a little bit of extra pressure. And that's Darnold his entire career. When that pressure gets to him, he's made some bad decisions. He's made some mistakes. And I think there's a real possibility that we see that happen in this game as well. And so an aggressive Vrabel with a Pats defense that's been blitzing a lot, with guys healthy, being able to bring extra pressure. If this is a tight game or the Pats tend to have a lead and he dials that up a little bit more, I think we see Darnold forced into some mistakes. I think there's potential for mistakes elsewhere too. A big story all week has been who's blocking in the backfield for the Seahawks and how are they going to handle the divide between the two running backs. And so I think this kind of plays in naturally to what I'm looking at. And I would go Seattle most turnovers at plus 120.
I'm with you on this one. Stevenson receiving yards over 23.5.
Yeah, absolutely. So about minus 115, no matter where you look for this one, pretty standard line everywhere. Seattle kills outside wide receivers. New England, not a lot of outside receivers to begin with. They're going to go to heavier personnel. They're going to have multiple tight ends on the field. And Seattle plays with a lot of light personnel and really invites the run. They really want you to run it on them on early downs. And I think there's going to be kind of an avoidance from that for a little bit more protection, a little bit more stability in the offense. When those wide receivers are gone, we're going to see Stevenson as an outlet. And I think he has potential here to break off a couple of big catches. And so over 23.5 receiving yards, price I like here for Stevenson.
All right. Henderson, what role does he play in this game? Only 4 snaps in the AFC title game, but you think Henderson can do something here? Let's start with rushing yards over 18.5.
Yeah, over 18.5. So he's never been anywhere close to this number all season. He's been closing significantly higher, but he played in 2 snow games back to back. And we know from earlier in the season, there was a little bit of a lack of trust. And so in the weather, naturally, the Pats did what they've done this season and pushed things more towards Stevenson. Well, now we see recency bias from recent games. You guys had Frank B on earlier in the week, who was awesome. He was talking about how what you see in some of these playoff games carries over into the markets, and we're seeing exactly that right now. This number really, really low. He's going to get more snaps. He's going to get more touches. He's going to be more involved, especially if the Pats stick to that heavier personnel, and he's going to have a lot of potential against this lighter personnel that Seattle plays defense with to find space and to break off bigger runs. And so I don't agree with this number being nearly as low as it is. This is underpriced for the usage that he is going to get. So over 18.5 rushing yards for Henderson.
Okay, and then one more here, and it's a running back. You're on Helani in this game?
Yeah, so like sticking with kind of avoiding the receivers, JSN has been faded under, and we've seen Kenneth Walker get just pummeled to the under the entire week from a lot of sharps and a lot of pros. That leaves Helani in the backfield for Seattle against this Pats team that's going to be blitzing a lot with what we've seen Walker's touches get bet under as well. In addition to the yards, I think is a pretty good signal that the Seahawks are going to go to their better blocking back in the backfield with Charbonnet out. And that's going to lead to Helani here. Over 1.5 receptions is the prop I like at minus 140. He's going to be featured more for those blocking snaps with New England blitzing more. And if you have Darnold in a bit of a panic or trying to get the ball out quicker, and you have these good New England corners being able to contain things, the natural outlet for Darnold out of the backfield to avoid some of that panic, it's going to be dumping the ball off. And so I think we see Helani get involved a little bit more than expected at 1.5 receptions. That's a number that could go over pretty early in the game, I think, with how he's going to be used. So that's another one here I'm looking at.
All right, pal. Good to talk to you, man. Enjoy the game coming up on Sunday. Best of luck with the bets as well. We appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks very much, guys. Enjoy the big game, and thanks for having me over here in the playoffs, and look forward to chatting with you guys again soon.
You bet. Adam Chernoff on the Progressive Guest Line on X at Adam Chernoff. You have Stevenson 30-1 MVP in the game. How many other MVP bets do you have?
Myers.
Yeah.
And, I think that's it. Okay. He also made an interesting case before the segment. Most yards from scrimmage, Henderson, 60-1.
Up next, you're going to get some perspective on NFL awards from somebody who has a ballot. That's coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We're going to act like kids in 15 minutes. The reason why Duff McKagan joins the program, longtime bassist of the band Guns N' Roses, lifelong diehard Seattle Seahawks fan, loves fantasy football. And for those of you who were into the Grammys on Sunday night, got to say that was a hell of a tribute to Ozzy Osbourne. He was up on the stage with Slash, Post Malone, and others as they paid homage to Mr. Osbourne.
Yeah. They were phenomenal. They did
were
a
great.
great job. And also, I know, Mitch grew up a big Two Live Crew fan. But when you went to get those Guns N' Roses albums, Appetite for Destruction and GNR Lies, you had the parental advisory warning label on there. Looking around, I was like, "Ooh, I'm getting into something dangerous
I know.
here."
What are they going to say?
Some F-bombs may be coming. And, growing up as a kid in Wisconsin, the first time you put on Out to Get Me, like, okay, we're into something here. These guys, this is a dangerous band, this Guns N' Roses.
You would walk up to the cashier
Yes.
as a 13-year-old begging, please, just let me get through with this.
Yeah.
And I remember doing that with NWA.
Oh, another one, yeah.
As a 14, 15-year-old. And it's just peppered with parental advisory. I'm like, I have no chance of walking out of here. I did. They gave it to me. How about that? Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Your parent here? Your dad know you're buying this?
Yeah, they're right
Sure.
outside. They said no big deal. I promise.
Yeah,
Don't
those
worry
were
about
the
it.
days. Those were the days, my friend.
All right, so some controversy last night. According to some, I guess.
Okay,
the NFL
they gotta
awards?
stop. You got to stop with the robbery stuff.
Yeah.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Patriot fans, again, why do you guys care so much? If you had a bet on it, it's one thing. But you're in the Super Bowl. You won Coach of the Year. You won Assistant Coach of the Year. The guy's in his second year. He just had all the success with Brady and Belichick. Now you got a great quarterback in May, and they're all livid. It was stolen. It was MVP was stolen.
Yep.
And if I see 5 seed again, come on. Get out of here with the 5 seed stuff. It's 37 and 27 points in the 2 games in Seattle, lost because of special teams.
We'll never see a run like that in the NFL ever again, and they're completely miserable.
True.
I don't get it.
They love the battle, the massholes. Love the battle.
Yep. Okay, so this, by the way, Dustin Sweetelson, host Cashing Out, Sunday through Thursday nights right here on VSiN, 11 o'clock Eastern. He's done a hell of a job this week, along with Jonathan Von Tobel. Paul, I know you've covered Super Bowls before. I've been Super Bowl week, whatever. The guys up there, they did not go up there and say, oh, this is great, we're on a vacation. They grinded the entire time. To talk to as many people as they did, let me just tell you, that's a lot. It's not just it falls into your lap and it's all set up for you. You got to work a lot behind the scenes. So those guys were awesome up there. And Dustin caught up with former VSiN host Adam Shine, SiriusXM, and he has a vote for the NFL awards. And they kicked around what took place last night.
And on top of all that, you're also an NFL awards voter.
That's right.
Let's talk about what went down last night. First, MVP. The big controversy, the Justin Herbert rogue vote that may have swayed everything in the direction of Matthew Stafford. Your thoughts on MVP?
I thought whoever voted Justin Herbert's, that's about as buffoonish and as asinine a vote as you could ever cast. And I'm very disappointed. And as someone who voted Matthew Stafford, I didn't even think about voting anyone else. Like, to me, it was Stafford, and then there was a debate between 2 through 5. But the guys, it was pretty clear. I voted Drake May 2, Josh Allen 3, Christian McCaffrey 4, Trevor Lawrence 5. I love Justin Herbert. He was 7th on my list. If the list extended to 6 or 7, Caleb Williams would have been number 6. But the Herbert thing, I don't know how you can look at ultimately what transpired against Houston, which is a nationally televised game, and say, that's the MVP. If you want to sell me on Herbert getting a 4th or 5th place vote, we could have an intelligent conversation. I'd want to know who you'd have to take out there. But for the reporter, writer, podcast host in question to say, well, let's talk about offensive line and hypotheticals and could Stafford have done? No. You vote as is. Like, we could talk weapons, right? Schedule, you talk about what you know, what you see. And I also think, too, and one of the tiebreakers for me, it's like, and I did this for Coach of the Year, division winners. Like, that matters. We're looking for separators. I mean, how could you vote Justin Herbert? That was crazy.
No, the results actually matter, right?
Yes.
The results matter.
Look at that game against Houston. And, I'm just bothered by it because I put a lot of time into this, a lot of thought. I don't always go, with the conventional wisdom picks. Obviously, I vote what I believe, but that to not give Stafford that vote. And if I'm a Boston fan and I, thought Drake May, had an opportunity, if I, was a Patriots fan, that would forever bother me that Herbert got that vote as opposed to Drake May.
How difficult was Coach of the Year this year? Because I think you could have made the case for 5 different guys. Who'd you end up going with?
So here's what's interesting about that. I didn't think the number one was difficult. I voted Vrabel. It wasn't even a discussion for me. It was Vrabel number one, not even close. What he did maximizing that team, unbelievable. I thought there were 7 Coach of the Year candidates. 7 candidates. Vrabel 1, Ben Johnson 2, Mike McDonald 3, Sean Payton 4. People forgot about Sean Payton, I think. Number 5, Liam Cohen. I left Shanahan off my ballot because my determining factor was division. Results do matter. In a different year, DeMeco Ryans is the Coach of the Year. DeMeco Ryans coached his ass off this year. That is pure coaching. They lost 3 games to start the season, all one-score games. Phenomenal head coach. Had issues in terms of the offensive line and the quarterback and the play caller, but that team was prepared. They were dominant. They were tough. They were clutch. I thought 7 guys were worthy. I didn't hesitate on Vrabel.
I had DeMeco 150-1 Coach of the Year. I wish it was a different year for him this year. All right, and then finally, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I thought this award was more wide open than it ended up being. Ted McMillan wins the thing. You could have gone a bunch of different directions, and I actually agree with who you voted with. You went a little bit off script here.
Gray Zabel. I mean, honestly, that to me was easy. Like in a year where there was no receiver, in my opinion, that had a classically great season, no quarterback that had a classically great season, no running back, and I used a purpose on this. I did not put a running back on my top 5. Not a classically great season. So Gray Zabel, to me, phenomenal guard, phenomenal team, all the analytics in addition to all the football. I thought Zabel was worthy, dominant, and I was happy to be one of the Gray Zabel 2 who voted for him number 1 for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Adam Schein with Dustin Sweetelson earlier today.
The voter was Sam Monson, and now Sam Monson also said, thanks to some tweets and stuff, he voted Stafford number 2.
He did.
Which shocked me because he took a shot at Stafford in his tweet explaining why he voted Herbert number 1.
Well, so to me, I read it like this. And maybe he's clarified this. I don't know. He's probably making the rounds a lot because he was eviscerated and has been for a full day now, the way it seems. I read it like this. He was going to go Matthew Stafford. He's thinking about it. But then that one game changed his opinion when he had a couple of offensive linemen go down, and then he turned the ball over a bunch. And that was the deciding factor because Herbert was playing with a bad offensive line the entire year. That's the way I read it. But again, so now I would hope that Boston area fans here can calm down a little bit because Monson did not vote Drake May number 2. So he did not cost Drake May the MVP.
I'm with you. I had a bigger problem. And I'm with Adam Schein. I'm glad he was strong on that. I don't agree. I had a bigger problem with the 2 first-place votes for Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Who did not play well and really struggled in the big games. Lost at home to New England, was bad against Houston, was bad against Philly, was bad against Atlanta. That one surprised me.
There is a,
but I'm kind of with. I'm kind of with Adam Chernoff. I always thought it had to be Stafford, and he was going to win the award. And I thought it was lunacy that in the Monday night game in Atlanta, May got to $9.
Yeah.
While the game was going on.
That was the time to come back, bounce on Stafford, and take him at plus money. And I think we talked about that a lot on the Tuesday show following that, and maybe a lot of people did. That was a complete overreaction by sportsbooks.
Yeah, I mean, everyone should have won. You were able, if you had the big tickets on May, you could have grabbed Stafford 3-1. There were big prices on May, and you still, how books were doing this with the crazy swings and adjusting it, that both guys were available at big prices.
The one thing I would, I did disagree with a couple of things here from Adam Schein. One was the team success by the Seahawks to vote the guard. Team success should have nothing to do with Rookie of the Year. Absolutely nothing. The best rookies in the league are going to bad teams. So, I mean, if you're going to be a top 5 pick, top 10 pick, and you have a really good season, but you win 6 games, your fault? No. Team success should have absolutely zero to do. That should not be part of the criteria at all when it comes to that award.
I was surprised Vrabel won in a blowout, too.
Yeah, and he said no debate. Boy, oh boy. Another
Ben Johnson got 1 vote.
Yep.
Ben Johnson did an incredible job, and there's a lot of great candidates, and maybe things are different if the 49ers win that game and get the 1 seed. But
Duff McKagan next, bassist, Guns N' Roses, diehard Seattle Seahawks fan, loves fantasy football. And he played the Grammys in a tribute to Ozzy Osbourne last week. Can't wait to talk to him coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.